Hello, my fellow patriots. This is Alex with Disabled Vets Perspective, and I just realized that I am very, very dark because I got the lighting behind me. So let's see if that works a little bit. Put a little light on the subject. How is everybody doing this afternoon? I have some information that I want to spread to you, and we're going to talk about the little thing that we're all supposed to ignore and go on happy-go-lucky in our lives, and pretty much let it play its course. Um, I have some news articles brought up about said virus. I have some of my own opinions about it, and I have some factual information about it, or at least the information that they want us to choose or want us to assume is fact. So we'll have that going. So how is everybody today? I saw DM. Good to see you always. I'm so glad that you are hanging out. You're here to handle the heavy lifting. C, good to see you, Jeff. Welcome. Um, Carmageddon. Okay, I got it. How you doing? Blue 777. Welcome, and Bellstar. Good to see you. I saw your question in there, Bellstar, and I actually have the unofficial answer about the numbers in the U.S., and I will be getting to that. Um, is it buffering? Okay, well, just give it just a minute because right before I went live, I had my computer restart, so it might take just a minute to get it going. Am I still buffering? Is the audio good? Um, Anything else that I need to do? It's fine now. Okay, you refreshed. Yeah. I mean, right when I was just about to hit the live button, my computer says, "We found a problem in your computer. We're fixing it and we'll restart it shortly." So I got one of those. Michael, good to see you. All right, so I got some articles pulled up. I want to go over those because I want to keep you guys in the loop about this thing. I have concerns about the virus, and I want to keep focused on it until the thing runs its course, and then we can put it away as part of history's darker time. Um, Let me get this so I can see you guys here. Suzanne, good to see you. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about here, obviously coronavirus. 6,000 tourists in lockdown on Italian cruise ship. Total number apparently is not 6,000, it's 7,000 because there is crew that's on that ship too. So there are 7,000 people in lockdown on a cruise ship. Hey, Pete. It says more than 6,000 tourists have been put on a lockdown on a cruise ship in Italy on Thursday after suspected case of coronavirus was detected on board the vast liner. Samples taken from Chinese couple were sent for testing after three doctors and nurses boarded the Costa Crociere ship in the port of Civitavecchia. I've been there. I love that place. Near Rome to end to tend to the woman running a fever, local health authorities said. So the Costa Crociere has confirmed that its ship, the Costa Smeralda, wow, creative language 101, carrying some 7,000 people, including crew, was in lockdown. This is there is one suspect case, a woman from Macau. Public health authorities are verifying the situation, a spokesman from the cruise line told DPA News Agency. We've arrived in Civitavecchia with the Costa Smeralda cruise ship, and they are not letting us off the boat. They say it's due to health inspection. A passenger named Gabby tweeted. The Costa Smeralda departed from Savona in the northern Italy and stopped in Marseille, Barcelona, and Palma de Mallorca. Okay, before reaching Civitavecchia. According to an ANSA news agency, test results from the suspected patient should be ready in the afternoon. The woman, 54, has been put in isolation with her husband, who does not appear to have any symptoms. We did all that we needed to do. The situation is under control, always under control. And at the moment, it does not seem like there are any reasons for concern on board. Coast Guard Commander Vincenzo Leone was quoted as saying by the ANSA. In a statement, Costa Crociere, wow, names again. My Italiano accent, I cannot make out the words, said its priority is to guarantee the health and safety of the guests and crew, and that it would strictly comply with regulations from health authorities. So, we now have a ship on lockdown. Coco, good to see you. Linda Horner, welcome. All right, so you got to think about this in the grander scheme of things. Should this person come positive with their test results, which I was under the understanding they didn't have anything that they could use to test for this, so I'm puzzled as to where they came up with a test for it now. Yeah, a lot of Florida Patriots. I got an announcement at the end of the show also for Florida Patriots, so definitely you're going to want to stick around for that. All right, so this is a scenario. You get a cruise ship, 7,000 people. You end up with a case of the pneumatic plague, or as they call it, coronavirus. Who did I just see pop in here? Wayne Rogers, DFW, welcome. And Timothy Hawkins, good to see you. This is what could happen. They're talking about an 8 to 14 day gestation period for this thing to grab a hold of its victims, and during that process, you are contagious. Basically, as soon as you are in contact with this thing, you are contagious. God bless America. Welcome. So, 7,000 people. If you figure that not everybody on the ship would be potentially exposed at the same time, maybe days apart, then you have to let the virus run its course. And from the last case, either alive, dead, or indifferent, at that point, the quarantine would end in 2 cycles. So potentially another 28 days. If you think about the numbers, that ship could literally be quarantined for months while they're waiting for the virus to run its course through all of the potential passengers and crew, and then a 2 cycle period where it would be twice the length of time that the virus would be active. They know it can stay alive for 5 days on any surface. So in the first 5 days after the last case has been cured, or whatever happens to them, then the first 5 days you're waiting for the virus to be killed off on the surfaces of anything on the ship. And then during that time, you're also waiting for the last person that showed symptoms to cycle through the process. So 14 days roughly from, I guess it was 21 days total, because they're saying it's basically contact, virus, death, or cure. You either recover from it or you die from it, like in 21 days. So it's extremely fast. But after that last patient is taken care of, then they've got 28 days of quarantine beyond that point. But what I'm trying to do is instill in you the possible length of time that a cruise ship could be in quarantine because of the population on it. They can't send them all out into the world. They would have to let the virus run its course, potentially through whoever is in contact with it, before they could do anything. Northern Tiger, good to see you. Invaders M, welcome. You've invaded. Awesome. All right, so the numbers are staggering anyway, but that's what I wanted to get across on that one was the lockdown of the Italian cruise ship. And Civitavecchia is a beautiful place. We jumped a ship and cruised across the Atlantic to back to Florida, and that was quite an adventure. That was coming back from Turkey. That's how we did it. It was actually cheaper to take the cruise ship that was relocating for the winter across the Atlantic than it was to fly home. So we went ahead and did that. 17 days, 15 days. I think it was 15.
14, I think it was 14 days.
Yeah, well, anyway, it was a
Across
rush.
the Atlantic.
You get a certificate
Did the
for
appointment.
crossing the Atlantic, so that was kind of cool. Suzanne Q. Epson, how you doing? It should work, but this strain is different than the one it states on the can. It is for the normal strain. Yeah, I'm right. And I don't think we're getting the entire piece of information. This thing looks desperately weaponized, and that's going to be one of the last things that'll be exposed or brought out into the mainstream. Order your items from Walmart instead of shopping. Over $30 free shipping. Great for time management. Eliminates stress on the body. That's true. You can also, if you order non-perishables and you go to pick them up, you make sure you are away from the people that bring it out to your car. And then when you get home, you leave it in your driveway for 5 days or would potentially 7 days to give the virus a chance to die off from any potential surface in the car. Kiltred, welcome. Um, California critic. Hola, Holmes. What's happening, man? Que pasa, mi hombre? All that good stuff. Like California, man. All right. So let me get to the next one here. I've already given you the disaster of the cruise ship. I mean, it could be those people could enjoy a cruise for a long time. Or, you'd get the government involved and take the thing out to sea and have an accident and just sink it. But God, that's a weird thing to think about. But wouldn't put it past them. Now, I wanted to bring up this little tidbit because I have suspicions. For one thing, um, I've mentioned in another video there are 27 strains roughly of the coronavirus or SARS or MERS. They're pretty much in the same family group, and they all act the same. Pocahontas, good to see you. Um, I found out during my tour of the Capitol that was not actually her name; that was a nickname. So I found that very interesting. Pockets 2, welcome. All right, so I told you 27 strains roughly, SARS and MERS. And this one, Corona, is one of the strains. But I don't recall hearing about any of the SARS type viruses that attack organs, body organs. You must watch what you bring in the house, sanitize items before you bring them in. I use knit gloves, go into bleach, soak for 3 days, new pair each outing. Good idea, too. All right, so I want to bring up a little known disease called the pneumonic plague. Not to be confused with bubonic plague. This is the pneumonic plague. It's a plague based on pneumonia derivatives. Black Spring with Autumn, welcome. Now, it says pneumonic plague is a severe lung infection caused by a bacterium, Yersinia pestis. Yeah, it's a pest, okay. Symptoms include fever, headache, shortness of breath, chest pain, and cough. They typically start about 3 to 7 days after exposure. I want you to think about this. Every time you hear somebody talking about the coronavirus, they're describing pneumonic plague. All right, they typically start out about 3 to 7 days after exposure. It is one of three forms of plague, the other two being systemic plague and bubonic plague. Septicemic plague and bubonic plague, excuse me. The pneumonic form may occur following initial bubonic or septicemic plague infections. It may also result from breathing in airborne droplets. Now, second connection, airborne droplets. SARS and MERS typically are contact or you know hand to mouth when you are exposed to the virus on a surface and you put your hands to your face, then that's how you get it. So the droplets is another direct correlation to pneumonic plague. And the reason I'm bringing this up is pneumonic plague is a it's a bioweapon. That's the handiwork of our bioengineers. It's not something that just all of a sudden created. It was built. Uh, anyway, so the difference between the forms of plague is the location of the infection. In pneumonic plague, the infection is in the lungs. In bubonic plague, the lymph nodes, and in septicemic plague within the blood. Diagnosis is by uh, testing the blood sputum or fluid from the lymph nodes. So again, another comparison here, another contrast. They made it pretty clear in the beginning that they can't test. Hey, Tony, good to see you. Alyssa, welcome. Um, they've made it clear that they cannot test for the coronavirus. They said in a lot of interviews that they don't have a definitive test for coronavirus. But what they do have is definitive test for pneumonic plague. They can test for it because they built it. They know exactly what it is. So that's three things now I've pointed out that are starting to flush coronavirus down the toilet. So anyway, so it says while vaccines are being worked on in most countries, they are not yet commercially available. Keyword commercially available. When you build a bioweapon and you choose to get a patent on it, weapons have to have cures. So, America first. Good to see you. Yeah, Russia just closed its eastern border with China. Or what is that? Is that what you just said? Their eastern border to China. Yeah, yeah, I heard that this morning. Um, China is a breeding ground for potential pneumatics or pandemics. They are packed into the cities. They don't practice safe food handling, and they are still developing nation. It's time to bomb. Well, I don't know if it's that time yet. The problem is the people have been brainwashed for so long in China that it's hard to come out of that. Um, Listening to videos that are getting out from VPNs and people using them, um, they're they're telling the truth. They hate their government. Um, is there a cure for this coronavirus? Well, that's the problem. I don't think we're dealing with a coronavirus. Um, Based on what I've just written or read here, the coronavirus doesn't match up, but the pneumatic plague does. And the fact that pneumatic plague was created in a biolab means that they also have a vaccine. But when you use a bioweapon, the people that get the vaccine first, and sometimes only, are the elites. They'll get themselves taken care of before they even put a drop of this out into the ground. So what'll happen is if it's done like they did in the past, yes, our government has poisoned our own people more than once. If they do it like they've done it in the past, they'll say, "Oh, we have a miraculous cure. You guys just come on in, get in line, and get your vaccine." And only about 50% of the vaccine will actually be the vaccine for the pneumatic plague. The other 50% will be an active virus so that they continue to spread the virus and get the results that they want. Um, this is all conniving and evil. Hey, Chris, good to see you. Um, but the governments do this stuff all the time. It's nothing new. Uh, it's called Corona because it is shaped like a crown under the microscope. Okay, that makes sense. It's shaped like a crown. All right, so let me keep going here. It says while vaccines are being worked on, most countries, blah blah blah. I read that. It is recommended that those infected be isolated from others. Treatment of pneumatic plague is with antibiotics. Now, the fact that it was made as a bioweapon, they also made it resistant, a very virulent strain resistant to antibiotics. Plague is present among rodents. Another connection. This is the year of the rat. Okay. So, what a better time to potentially introduce a new plague to society? Uh, by prevention is by avoiding contact with infected rodents, people or cats. And specifically, cats, I guess, are more susceptible than some other species. It is recommended that those infected be isolated from others. Treatment of pneumatic plague is by antibiotics. All right. Plague is present among rodents in Africa, the Americas, and Asia. Pneumonic plague is more serious and less common than bubonic plague. The total reported number of all types of plague in 2013 was 783. Left untreated, pneumonic plague is nearly always fatal. Some hypo, hypo hypothesize. Okay, hypothesize. I can't spit that one out. Hypothesize. I got it. Thank you. That our pneumatic version of the plague was mainly responsible for the Black Death. That resulted in approximately 50 million deaths in the 1300s. You know, in a minute, I'm gonna get my tongue out of the way, and I'll be able to say these things a little clearer. So, Donnie Newman, welcome. Thank you. Yes, please hit the thumbs up. It does help. Um, anyway, so I kind of hope you guys see what I'm pointing out here and why it just things are not what they seem. Um, I try to get that to you folks so that you can see things a little bit through my eyes because I I see things sometimes from a different angle. Washing your hands is good hygiene, absolutely, and with soap and water because you'll actually find out that a lot of these um, viruses are just not even touched by Perel or any of those hand sanitizers. They're resistant to it. So good old fashioned soap and water is a good thing, and learning how to wash your hands sounds ridiculous, but it is helpful because if you just go like this, wash your hands, that is not accomplishing anything. You have to pull your fingers, you have to pull your thumbs through your hands. You got to soap up everything and make sure you get the backs and just a good way to do it is to look at movies where we got to scrub in for surgery. Look for that, and then that'll show you how to get your hands really scrubbed up, and then do that with your kids, but turn it into a game. We're getting ready to eat dinner, so we're going to surgically dissect our food, and we need to go scrub it in and turn it into a game so they get used to doing it. Fingernail brushes too. That's a good idea. Yep. Um, Absolutely. Thank you much. You are very smart, man. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on this much. Oh, shucks. You guys are going to make me blush. I'm kind of dark, so you wouldn't see it anyway. But yeah, no, I don't try to come across as a very smart man. I just take the time to look at things from angles that other people may not think of, and I put things together. I do have a lot of life experiences that help me to coordinate my thoughts and my visual perspective on things. So I just try to get that out to the public. Bill Gates on stage talking about depopulation and vaccines. Absolutely. Yeah, you can bet he's behind this. That little pecker owns a lot of patents on some really nasty diseases. Who the hell needs to own patents on that stuff unless you create it? So whatever. keep hands pointed down in the sink. Shake off. Use paper towels. Suzanne, are you by chance a nurse? Because what you're talking about there are uh, hospital procedures. It's interesting. Um, you got a good nugget in that melon. Thanks for bringing us this info, Holmes. Hey, no problem, Essie. It's the least I can do, Holmes. I just try to take care of my other brothers out here. Um, anyway, 12B Georgia must have slinked in here. I see you. I got you. Yo, man. Yo. All right. Now let's continue. I brought up the pneumatic plague because I wanted you guys to see the correlation between what they're talking about in the news and the headlines and the fact that it just doesn't work across the board for a coronavirus compared to what they are describing in the headlines. Now, next thing here, coronavirus confirmed in India. All right. This is, you could call this go time. We're talking about another country with a huge population and a lot of world travelers from India and a lot of people living very, very close together. And again, bathing in the rivers and stuff like that. Yeah, they do concentrate a bit on hygiene, except for the fact the rivers are usually pretty nasty from all the stuff that they dump upriver and then they bathe in it downriver. So, whatever. But the point is, this thing could absolutely take off. It says India has reported its first case of novel coronavirus or pneumonic plague in Kerala. The student is studying at the Wuhan University. Imagine that. Wuhan, China, where the outbreak originated. An official statement from the Ministry of Health and Welfare read the patient has tested positive for the novel coronavirus and is in isolation ward in the hospital. The patient is stable and is being closely monitored, stating that the country is ready to handle any outbreak. Yeah, right. Just like China is doing their outstanding job. Anyway, the Indian outbreak, the Indian government reportedly said, yeah, and we all know you can trust the government 100% for everything they say. All right. Thermal screening sensors are operational, and few more such equipment is being produced or procured. They're getting the equipment. The problem is, we've been over this. This thing can sit in the body with not a single symptom for up to 14 days. So these head scanners and stuff, that's a false sense of security, and it's really not going to give them the answer they need. The immigration and other staff members at the airports have been and decided sensitized and dedicated dedicated ambulances are placed at the airports. I'm sorry, that's just not written well. I know I'm not that bad a reader. Deployment of medical and paramedical staff is also being done for round the clock service. All right. And just jumping back to China for a second, they have deployed the military to help medical staffers in this outbreak. If you are deploying the military to a region of a pandemic, I'm pretty sure they're not there to help. We're going to help you to death, buddy. We got your back. Don't worry. Although it was earlier believed that the virus originated from the seafood market at Cole and could only spread from animal to human, the Chinese health officials have confirmed human to human transmission of the virus. The first case outside China was reported in the USA's Washington on Tuesday. The SARS-like virus has spread to 19 other countries. And then it goes into what is coronavirus? Well, coronavirus is different than pneumatic plague. Also, the seafood market is a cop out, and the mayor of Hunan finally came forward and said that the national government told him to keep his mouth shut and to not say a word when they had their first case. And once it went nuts and got out of control, now the national government is blaming it, said mayor. So he's coming out and saying, "Oh hell no, not going to take this one for the team. Um, you're going to walk around 24/7 in a biological suit. Get a pink one. If you're going to draw attention to yourself, make it look good. Tell them, put a big ribbon on the back and tell them it's for breast cancer awareness, and then nobody will question it. That'll work." CC777, if they can't detect it for 2 weeks, maybe something is setting the virus off, like a two-part system, like even stink bug spray, only spraying. My concern is that this was put into an aerosol and that it was uh, ejected into in a high rise or something on a roof of some building and hit the population. That has been done in this country. They set up a aerosol sprayer on a rooftop and they sprayed the population of the lower income people that live below to test the results of tuberculosis. Look it up. It is out there. Our government has done some nasty things to our people, and it's not beyond them to do it again. 9/11 anyway, so we will continue. Just wanted to bring up that India is now in the game, and it's not good. All right, this is a question that I saw earlier in the chat as to how many cases are in the United States. Well, if you listen carefully to the news, then during a Fox show, I can't remember which one it was because I wasn't paying attention to it until I heard what they said. They said 23 states are testing for the coronavirus, and uh, it said the coronavirus is now in 23 states. That's how they said it. And then just like a sentence after that, they said there's only 5 confirmed cases in the United States. So they busted their ass with a piece of reality and then quickly changed it around to adjust to the talking point. So the number of cases in the United States confirmed: 2 in California, 1 in Washington, 1 in Illinois, 1 in Arizona. Um, that is at this point, and it's 26th of January is the last date that they posted this. Uh, patients under investigation, or PUI, in the United States. Number of the states with the patients under investigation, 36. So even 2 days ago when they said 20, 23 states or something like that, 25 states, whatever the hell they said. Anyway, it's up to 36 now. Positive cases, still 5. And again, this is back on the 26th. Negative cases, 68. Pending, 92. Specimens awaiting testing, they're waiting, 165 total. But then right below that, it says on January 28th, it would cut 24 flights between the U.S. and China for the first week of February. So we're going to start cutting flights. Travel alerts, screening incoming passengers at 20 airports in the U.S. They're just hitting them with a heat monitor. That's not going to do it. Anyway, so where did I see this a second ago? It was the virus has been confirmed in 4 states. All 5 U.S. patients had recently visited Wuhan. All U.S. cases have been described as mild. There is still no evidence that they passed the virus to other people in the United States. It's because there could be a 14-day period. And now the other thing they mentioned was that there are many other cases that have not yet reached the CDC for testing, so they don't have a true number of the patients under investigation. They have a guess at 92. Germs are kept in laboratories under lock and key, alarm, and armed guards. They cannot escape. They are set free. You are absolutely right. Did you hear the story about the professor that just got an indictment unsealed against him 2 days ago? He and two of his colleagues from China that are being looked into for nefarious action, trying to smuggle biohazards out of the country in their socks, and it's not good. But then we had the Chinese national um, out of Canada. She and her students are under investigation for several trips, suspicious trips to the Class 4 biolab in Wuhan. And so we've got two cases of bioscientists that are potentially linked to some dark magic things going on that shouldn't be. The link I just sent is for Glenn Beck video that just came out about the virus. Okay, I'll check that out after we finish up here. DPFX, welcome, welcome. Um, makes you think. Yes, it makes you think. I think. Um, anyway, so that is the official number of cases in the U.S. So you can, based on the history of our government lying to us in increments, then you can already add 5 times to that, and they won't tell you what's going on until they have their continuity of government in place. They have their military in place. They have their first responders. Then somewhere down that line, you will start getting exposed to the truth in increments. So they don't want panic and they don't want the economy to crash, but they don't give a damn about you and me. That's been proven. So expect to get the truth in tiny little increments. Uh, times 10. Yeah, 12B, you're probably right. I'm just trying to be a little conservative, but you are probably closer than I am. U.S. officials are testing for the new coronavirus in 36 states. All right. After 5 cases were confirmed, here's what we know about the U.S. patients. The U.S. now has 5 confirmed cases of new coronavirus that originated in Wuhan, China, almost a month ago. A month ago. When did we start hearing about this? Bet it wasn't a month ago. Let's see. It has spread to 19 other countries: Australia, Cambodia, Canada, Finland, France, Germany, India, Japan, Malaysia, Nepal, the Philippines, Singapore, South Korea, Sri Lanka, Taiwan, Thailand, and the United Arab Emirates, the U.S., and Vietnam. So this is a world event. But the CDC and the World Health Organization are saying, oh, don't worry about it. You're just being overreactive. So, Charity, hello there. Good to see you. Anyway, says the corona family is a large group of viruses that typically affect the respiratory tract. Coronavirus can lead to illness such as the common cold, pneumonia, and severe acute respiratory syndrome known as SARS, which results in 8,000 cases and 774 deaths in China from November 2002 to 2003. Again, this thing is a lot more virulent than SARS, and the description crosses to pneumatic plague more than it does SARS. And I read that, so if you haven't heard that yet, go back and listen to it, because the comparison is right there in black and white. Patients with the new coronavirus, known as 2019 nCoV, have reported symptoms like fever, coughing, and difficulty breathing. Those who have died were mostly elderly and otherwise unwell, according to the Chinese officials. No deaths have been reported outside of China. Here's everything we know about the 5 cases in the United States. The first U.S. case was reported on January 21st when a man in his 30s was confirmed sick in Snohomish County, Washington. The patient contracted the virus after visiting Wuhan but did not exhibit any symptoms while traveling, which example of the problem. He didn't exhibit any symptoms when he flew on potentially multiple planes making his way back to the U.S. in a situation with recirculated air and no escape from viruses that move around in the particulate. So that's the problem. Eagle Talent, good to see you. I've read different articles that say Corona has a mortality rate of as low, it just jumped as low as 3% to as high as 12%. I'm hearing 15%. But again, it crosses the definition of the virus doesn't fit corona or SARS. It fits pneumatic plague. So, pneumatic plague has a very high mortality rate and infection rate of somewhere in excess of 86%. So, that is a huge difference. A director in the late 70s by the name of Armando Desario explained in the roundabout way what happened as well. Yeah, I got you on that. Yep. You're talking about when they exposed the public to tuberculosis and all that. Anyway, so that's what I'm figuring you mean. I figure it may be nice to show something happy for once every now and again, with so much to be worried about in these days. Charity, you're correct. I'd love to be able to do a funny cat video, but I feel like I need to get this out because I don't feel like people are being told the truth. I know they're not, and with the research I've done, with the understanding of a little bit about virulent diseases, I mean, I I grew up with a doctor in my household that did biological research for the last 15 years of his life, and you can't help but have conversations about how things work and what's going on. Just sitting around shooting shit, you're going to learn some stuff from if you listen to a doctor, if you take the time and understand what they're saying and stuff. Plus, I always used to peruse through his medical books, so I kind of had an interest in it. Uh, all right, so it says the Center for Disease Control and Prevention is requiring 20 U.S. airports, including those in New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Chicago, to screen passengers for the virus. All flights in and out of Wuhan have been canceled, except for the flights of the VIPs. They're picking people up, putting them on chartered planes, and flying them to the U.S. I believe last night the plane landed in Anchorage. They supposedly tested them for the virus in Anchorage while they were refueling the plane, and then they continued on to California, where they will be sent to a Air Force Reserve base pending testing or whatever. I don't know that they are actually going to be doing quarantine per se, so I just don't know. The whole thing is just up in the air. Cindy Ham, good to see you. That is my concern that the two in New Hampshire, they are not saying who they are, who have they been around, or where they have been in the last 2 to 3 weeks, and if those people have been quarantined. Yeah, they're keeping a lot of stuff quiet. You're getting very small numbers to maintain the status quo and prevent panic. Um, Georgia Guidestones, Donnie, you are right. That's what this looks like to me too. Look also at food service that originated from China. Yeah, anything that comes from there, you know, the advantage that we have in that is unless it comes in by plane, if it comes in by ship, by the time it would get here, if there was the virus on any surface or product, it would have died many days before. So that's one thing. I just at this point I wouldn't have things air shipped from China unless you plan on leaving them sitting somewhere all by themselves for about 7 to 10 days. That's just my suggestion. Chris Fitters, a health officer for the Snohomish Health District, said during a CDC briefing on January 21st that the patient was hospitalized out of an abundance of precaution and for short-term monitoring, not because there was severe illness. The man is in good health now, according to a spokesman at Providence Regional Medical Center. Event Herald Net reported. Everett Herald Net reported. So it's interesting that even people that are in that hospital where that man was supposedly brought in um, didn't know he was in that hospital, which I find very amusing. It's a emergency room physician was asked about the condition of the patient and said, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about." So they are still keeping us close to the vest. It really frustrates the hell out of me that we have a government that decides what's best for us. I grew up and left home and pretty much have made my own decisions and taught my kids to do the same thing. I think we can all handle the truth. I don't need another caretaker. So that's what I'm sick and tired of with this government that feels like they need to be our nanny. Um, been there, done that. Now I'm pretty much capable of handling my own affairs. All right, busy. Yes, me too. All right, so that is the 36 states, 5 cases, and I already been over 106 some odd cases that are being tested. All right, let's see what else I got here. 2019 Nova coronavirus, NCOV. The CDC is closely monitoring an outbreak of respiratory illness caused by the novel new coronavirus, first identified in Wuhan, Hubei province, China. Infections with 2019 NCOV also are being reported in growing numbers of countries internationally, including the United States. There are ongoing investigations to learn more, and that is from the CDC. In other words, we ain't telling you shit, Mr. Big. You're going to have to figure this out on your own. Number of cases in the United States positive, 5. Number of cases negative in the United States, 68. Number of cases pending, 92. Total, 165. Cumulative since January 21st. Old information. Numbers closed out at 7 p.m. the night before reporting, so the 20th. Excluding those with contact to a known case. All right? Excluding those with contact to a known case. Includes specimens received and awaiting testing, as well as specimens en route to the CDC. I would say excludes. I think they used the wrong word there. Number of states with potential victims, 36 states. Remember, I said increments. They will give you the truth in increments as they get their continuity of government and their structure in order to prepare for the panic, prepare for the unrest that will succeed this. They will have it. They're going to get everything in order, and then they'll be piecing the truth to you a little at a time. So just be ready for that. Take the information and take note and wait for the next little piece. I got one more article, but let me see. Oh, Coco, yeah, pray for him. Her husband's going in for dental surgery. I feel your pain. I hate that. Um, Thank you, DM, for posting my PayPal. If you want to help this channel grow, I would be eternally grateful. You guys helped me and my wife make an incredible trip to Virginia. Um, it was just awesome, and I love you guys to death for it. Stock market crash I foresee. Yeah, that's an interesting thing, Bellstar. I was going to bring that up too. Right now, the Federal Reserve and the World Bank is not healthy. They're not doing well, and every time they reach a point where they're not doing well, we get an event. Usually a war because the bankers control the wars. They tell us who we're going to fight, when we're going to fight, and they finance both sides of the war. Well, right now, they're kind of losing their grip on starting wars. They've tried several times and they've been shot down by this administration. So they're not getting their wars that they need to reset their banking system. So they needed to figure out something else. And every time there's a potential reset of the monetary system of the Federal Reserve and the World Bank, they always do resets. You just don't realize it because they're done during wartime. And Right now, they're not getting a war, so they had to do something else. So they're already saying that this virus will be responsible for this next world economy crash. They found their event to blame for their mishandling of funds throughout the world. So just keep an eye on that routine that they'll do. Listen to how the Federal Reserve talks about the coronavirus crashing the world economy. And they'll start mentioning it more and more and more, and then they'll have their excuse to do a reset. Um, they are dug in, so they are not worried about us. Yeah, they they have their bunkers, they have everything. SARS had a mortality rate between 4 and 7.2%. Who in the world really knows? Yeah, that's still a pretty high number if you're talking about 7.5 billion people. Donna Simo, how you doing? Good to see you. It was planned because Trump won. They knew we were waking and would fight them. So the virus was patented in 2017 with a vaccine, but it mutated twice already. Uh, Vaccine is no good. Entirely possible, but if it is in fact not SARS or not a corona or not one of the 27 variations of SARS, if it is in fact pneumatic plague, then you can bet they have a vaccine because it was created as a weapon. But definitely went over that already. So I have too many questions about it. It just lines up too much. Um, I wonder if this is a way to stop Trump's economic success. I'm sure it has something to do with that, but I also think that it's part of the silent war that the administration is fighting with the Federal Reserve, which has been illegal since its inception. They literally could just turn off a switch as soon as they start producing currency out of the Treasury. They could just tell the bankers, "Okay, thank you, come again, bye bye," and or take care now, bye bye then. And there's nothing they could do about it because it's been an illegal entity. It's never been ratified. It's the, the credit system that they use for governments is illegal. It's the whole system. So yeah, I think they want to close the Fed. Chemical warfare. God bless America. Yes, sir. It's some nasty stuff, but it's very effective. Look at how quickly it's hit 19 countries, and those are the countries that are um, releasing the information. uh, all right, so let me open this back up here and get to the one little thing I wanted to talk about with another subject. Miss batshit crazy Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren. Uh, let's see here, says criminalizing free speech online. Elizabeth Warren has a plan for that. Yes, folks, she wants to make it illegal for putting out false information. The problem is that it's false information according to them. So as long as you toe the line, push the narrative, use the talking points that they want you to use, that's okay. If you tell any form of truth, then you could face prosecution. It says Elizabeth Warren has a plan for that. I mean, a chilling crackdown on free speech in the name of, that picture moved, in the name of combating disinformation online. In other words, truth. They want to come after the alternative media because we're doing too damn much damage to their base, their system, their illegalities. Truth Seeker, welcome. Um, Virginia is trying to do this too. Federal Reserve and the IRS are both owned by the Crown. IRS is defined as military. I am aware of that. Thank you. Yes. The Crown actually has had a lot of say in this country since 1871 when they bailed us out of our first bankruptcy. All right, it says on Wednesday, the 2020 candidate released a plan that would impose criminal and civil penalties on those who are deemed guilty of spreading disinformation in a tweet that she posted the other day. In a tweet unveiling the plan, she said, "Disinformation online, foreign interference erode our democracy." their democracy. I actually live in a republic, but they operate a central government democracy based on majority rule. That's why they rig elections so they can take control, and then they do not have to talk to the other party ever. They just mow things through and check them off. Trump has invited both the Massachusetts Democrat Trump. What? Let me see. I might have missed something. Disinformation and online foreign interference erode our democracy, and Donald Trump has invited both. So she's saying it's Trump's fault. Did you know the sinking of the Titanic was Trump's fault? I couldn't believe that when I heard that. So yeah, that's amazing. Anyone who seeks to challenge and defeat Donald Trump in the 2020 election must be fully prepared to take this on, and I've got a plan to do it. I am going to take the Trump supporters and the conservatives and the God fearing Christians in this country, and I'm going to bury them. Maybe she didn't say that directly, but that's what I'm getting out of it. This is her tweet. Disinformation and online foreign interference erode our democracy. And Donald Trump has invited both. Anyone who seeks to challenge and defeat Donald Trump in 2020 election must be fully prepared to take this on, and I have a plan to do it. Fighting digital disinformation. Elizabeth Warren on online disinformation played a key role in the 2016 election, and our country still isn't prepared to fight it. Yeah, the truth came out about Hillary Clinton online, so that is therefore their disinformation, and that caused the people to wake up just in time to save our republic a little bit. We're still in a constant fight. Constant fight. Um, when will Trump audit the Federal Reserve? Is he keeping his promise? Let us not forget. He promised this. Invader Zim, the time is coming. Um, Luciano, hey there. You have to kind of take a step back and realize you've got one man fighting the world. And he's doing pretty well. He's starting to get a team in there he can trust, and he's starting to finally get rid of the people that he can't. And it's taking a long time. These people have been entrenched in this system for over 100 years. It's a long time to get all of your networking in place. And in 3.5 years, or 3 years and a month or so, a lot of things have changed. So no matter how hard it gets, we've got to be patient and let the system do its thing. Meanwhile, we as individuals need to be fighting in our own states and getting rid of the tyrannical leaders that are taking over our state and local governments. So while President Trump is doing his thing and totally distracted with DC, they're moving around like cockroaches in our local states, setting up their oligarchies and their tyrannical systems. So it's up to us to take care of what's going on in our states so that he can take care of what's going on in the federal government. Um, all the ads I'm getting on YouTube are for Democrats. Yeah, don't be surprised. They own the media systems. You are getting fed a narrative if you are watching any form of media. Um, that's why they demonetize channels. That's why they remove content. That's why they take 2,700 2,700 hours of view time away from me, and that's why they've had me at. I was sitting at 1,670 subscribers for 2.5 months because they own the system. Um, yeah, you can also report the ads. That's something I kind of get a kick out of. If it comes across as an obvious narrative of bullshit, I report the ad as spam or inappropriate content. That's always fun. If you do that enough, it actually changes the way your ads are presented on your channel. So, just a thought. Uh, it says there is a real issue with people believing fake or misleading information they see online. And it is true that Russian actors exploited this trend. Jesus, man, I wish I'd get off of Russia. It's Crimea, damn it. Pronounced Crimea. So, anyway, uh, Warren's multi page disinformation plan does include some stuff that's reasonable enough. No, it doesn't. But criminalizing misinformation, that's the stance of a dictator seeking to squash dissent, not a candidate trying to win over voters earnestly. I don't think they're trying to win over voters anymore. I really don't. I think they have their foreign voter base and their foreign influence well established. Uh, George Soros and Dianne Feinstein both own voting machines, so they are prepared for the industrial dump of corruption in this next election. So I just don't believe I don't think they're really trying to get elected. I think they're trying to be the one selected. Um, Please support Disabled Vets Perspective and all content creators to keep the truth coming. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir, Pete. It takes the public support if you guys want to keep this stuff coming. It really does, because we are squashed like bugs at every turn. Susan Q, Wayne, this is why we have Q movement and has shown the people just how bad it is and how to stop them. Right, but it's a system that has to go steady, and we've got a lot of resistance. So anyway, I don't have a clue how long I've been on here. I've just been babbling, rambling. 1 hour. Oh wow, that went like lightning. All right. That actually was the close of my last article too, so that's really convenient. I'm just good like that, I guess. We all must join him, support him, and armor up. Yes, yes, we should. All right, folks. That is my hour. Wake up. Welcome. Good to see you. I enjoyed that time on the show the other night. Appreciate the invite. That was pretty cool. Let's talk about prepping. Good to see you. Oh wow, Q is still a thing, huh? Um, Everything should be looked at, everything should be questioned, and nothing should be taken as gospel. But you can't get the real factual information if you don't look at everything and then use your brain. Uh, Iron Cream, appreciate you being here, man. All right, you guys, that's what I got. I hope I helped. I hope I got some things for your brains to think about out here today. And you guys just, we got to keep at this. We got to keep getting the information out. So join me when I come live. Hit my subscribe button, hit that bell so you know when I'm up here doing my thing, and tell your friends about me. Tell them to come on over and wave a hand. But until next time, y'all, stay in the fight.